Hello, I'm Jacinta from Past That Plant, and today we are going to be talking about hydro plants whilst I change the water in mine. So this is most of my hydro and water propagation collection. I have a whole heap of different hydro plants. Some of them I transferred from soil, like this peace lily and a large monstera I have, and others are water propagations, which I have just left to grow in water. You will notice that I have a lot of clear glass, but I also use amber glass and yes, even ceramic. You can use almost anything. So this peace lily I transferred from soil 5 years ago now, and she's lived completely in water since then. It is spring in Australia and she has 2 blooms growing. I think there's more to come. Yes, there is. I can see them coming. I haven't changed this water in over a year, so it's going to be quite funky. It doesn't smell or anything, but you can see there's some algae growth. So I am going to pour all of this water out and add fresh water in. Usually I don't pour all the water out of either my water propagations or my hydro plants. Instead, I will add fresh water as needed. Already filled my entire bowl. Although this water does look a little bit funky and a little bit green, you can see that the vessel itself is still pretty clean. I will give it just a quick wipe out. Let's have a look at these roots. Pretty happy and healthy. I'm just using a clean chocks and I'm just going to wipe this out. As I said, it's pretty clean and I'm not having any issues, so I'm not going to scrub it with soap and water or anything. The only bacteria in there is going to be good plenty bacteria, so I'm not too worried. So this is rainwater. It has been raining quite a lot in Melbourne, which is great for collecting it. You can also use distilled water or even tap water, depending on where you live and the quality of your water. Shove her back in. I'm going to add more water just to the top of this root ball. With hydro plants, you want to make sure that your roots are submerged in the water, but not your stems or your foliage. If too much of the plant falls into the water, then that's when you may encounter rot. So make sure you choose a vessel which is smaller at the top and it'll hold your plant like this. Perfect. Now I'm just going to add a little plant food as well, because I've just obviously poured out all that good bacteria and rooting hormone. And that's it for my hydro peace lily. So this was a transfer from soil. It was actually the first one I ever did, and she's still going well, which is great. So I rarely change the water completely. Instead, I opt to just top it up. So whenever it starts dropping down, I'll add more fresh water in. And that is because the roots need oxygen. So adding in fresh water will add in fresh oxygen. The peace lily was a transfer from potting mix to hydro. These are both fiddle leaf fig propagations, which yes are on my channel as well, and they've all rooted. You can see there's a little bit of algae growth on this one. Pour that out. So this is another 2 fiddle leaf fig cuttings. which is in amber. You can really see the difference in the roots of the propagation, which is in coloured glass versus clear. So using coloured glass helps to stop algae growth. That water was a lot cleaner as well. So again, I'm just going to fill up my vessels with water. And pop in my propagations. And then again, this one's easy to see with this one, but you just want the roots in the water, not too much of the stem. Going with the plant food again. Okay. Add some more plant food as well. So just like with my hydro plants, I try not to change the water in my propagations too often unless there is a lot of algae growth. Last year I went to Europe for a month. When I got back, these were really green, so that is probably the last time I completely changed the water. So again, about a year. But I do add fresh water all the time, so weekly I'm adding in fresh water which has plenty of oxygen. Have two more propagations here. One is quite green. This one sits near a grow light, which is why it is going green so quickly, so I may put that somewhere else. This one is in ceramic, so again obviously not seeing any sunlight, and the roots are a lot cleaner. Strange how she started shooting roots out of here too. Anyway, so let's change the water in these two. So these are both Monsteras. This is a Monstera adansonii, also known as the monkey mask. This one is actually a fake Monstera. It's known as the mini Monstera, but it is a Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. Look how clear that water is. This one I will actually clean the roots of it because they are quite green. There's a wipe. Okay, it's looking better. So I've added fresh water to both of these bottles and had a little cleanup. I'm going to pop these back in. There's a few different cuttings. So these were all propagations. Obviously it's well and truly long enough to pot up, which I probably will for this one soon just because it keeps growing so much algae. And again, yes, you can find the full chop and prop of this one on my channel already. So 3 different cuttings. The last bit, and then I'll just top it up with water to the top and add in the plant food. Again, some plant food. So for the ficus, you can fill up the water basically anywhere. Obviously you don't want the entire stem or too much foliage in there, but there's not nodes like you've got with Monsteras. So if you've got a Hydro Monstera or you're trying to propagate them, you must make sure that these nodes are submerged in the water for them to grow roots. You can see there's nodes up here which aren't submerged and they aren't growing roots. So make sure that the nodes are in the water. Now of my largest hydro plant, my Hydroculture. So I've had this one in water for years as well. Let me just move some of these so I don't send them all flying. So I'm going to tip all this water out because it also hasn't been changed in a very long time. And then I know I say this a lot, but nobody panic, but I am going to cut the roots. I'll explain why as we go along. Am I going to pour this everywhere? Let's see. I mean, also not too bad, seeing I haven't changed the water in a long time. And I just top it up. Okay, so next I'm going to trim the roots because if you can see, as you can see, they have really molded to this vase and are taking up quite a lot of space in there. And it's very thirsty, so I add fresh water probably every day because it keeps dropping. And we don't need all these roots, we want more foliage. Often if you give a water propagation or any plant more space, the roots will grow bigger and the foliage won't. So let's cut this back so she doesn't take up so much room and so she's not so thirsty. A little uneven, but I do want to keep kind of the shape so it stays upright. So let's see. Okay. It fits. It's a lot lower down. So let's give that some fresh water. So I also transferred this Monstera from a potting mix to hydro. It was a bit of a process where a lot of the soil roots fell off, or rotted off I should say, and it was a bit stinky of sulfur. So when I first transferred it to hydro, I was changing the water every few days so it didn't smell. But once these new watery roots grew, I just changed to topping up as needed. Again, the plant food. More than that. Perfect. You don't need to boop me. Hi. Wait. Got quite a big friend here. This is Quinn again. No, not replacing Marvin. Just staying with us for I think 15 nights, so you'll probably see him a lot. But he's very sweet. He likes to boop a lot. I don't know if he was like a failed alert dog and I seem stressed or what. You gotta be quiet if you're up here. So Pothos, just like Monstera, also have nodes which you need to submerge for them to root. So you can see there's nodes all the way along. That's what makes them so easy to propagate, because any of these can grow into its own plant. That is it for all my big propagations and hydro plants. Now I have a bunch of smaller propagations which I'm just going to quickly change the water of as well. Some are a little bit green, others are fine, but for the sake so that they're all on the same schedule, we're going to pour out all the water, add fresh water and a little bit of plant food for spring. Pink Princess. Single leaf Pilea. Scindapsus. More roots than foliage. Let's trim this as well. This gorgeous little vintage bottle. It's a bit wet actually. Bunch of Chinese money plants, or the friendship plant. The reason they're called the friendship plant is because they're so easy to propagate. You can give them to all your friends. Philodendron White Princess. I currently only have one semi-hydro, which is an alocasia in a tiny little leca. But I've never liked alocasias. I'm not liking this one either, but it's more of an experiment. She was a rescue, so not much to lose. Okay, let's refill them all. Can't even hear it. Last one. Same with the plant food. Obviously these won't have a full dropper each. It's a full dropper per litre, so I give them all a drop. So this is most of my hydro and water propagation collection. You really don't need a lot to get started. You just need a vessel, a plant or a cutting, and some water. I like to add a plant food, but it's definitely not an essential, especially in the beginning or just for propagations. I have a range of vessels here. Some of them were made for propagations, some are old jars, some are little vintage vases. The glass that the peace lily is in is actually meant to be a terrarium. I thrifted this bottle and also the one that the Pothos is in. So you can either repurpose what you have, you can go thrifting and find cute and unique vessels, or you can buy specific water propagation ones. So treat the plants the same way you would if they were in a potting mix. So whatever sunlight they need in the potting mix, make sure they're getting the same sun, same fertilizer, etc. The only difference is obviously the watering schedule, but even that is kind of the same. So instead of watering a plant that's in soil, you can just top up your hydro plants and propagations. So I top mine up weekly or whenever they need it, and then I completely change the water probably annually. As for plant food, I add a liquid NPK plant food monthly. You can also buy hydro specific plant food if you would rather, but I find this works fine. If you have a lot of algae and that bothers you, then you can definitely switch to either ceramic or to coloured glass. Using amber or coloured glass helps to keep out the sun's UV rays. This will keep the water cooler and stop algae from growing. It can mean that your plant is a little bit slower to root, but that doesn't bother me. And I think that's it really. You can see that I've got a wide range of plants which have been living in water from months to years. I love a hydro plant or water propagation, so even though a lot of these do have roots which are long enough to pot up, I haven't yet because I just love the way they look in their little glass homes. So let's put them back where they belong. I will keep you updated on how the Monstera that I snipped the roots on goes. But I think that's it. So let me know if you've got any other questions. And I will also add a list of other plants which can be hydro on the screen. And if you're wondering what I did with all the water, I poured it on my outdoor garden. You can obviously just pour it down the drain, but I grew up during a drought, so it just feels wrong in my bones to do that. So most of my hydro plants either live in my bathroom, where there is a skylight, or I have them here on this shelf. So they are all getting a bright indirect sunlight, none of them are sitting directly in windows. Again, that will promote algae growth. This big peace lily sits as a centerpiece on my dining table. So let's take her downstairs. That wasn't very good ASMR. Oh god. Just pack it up now. Ooh, that is pungent.